Hey, so I've been getting a lot of comments from random people, not so much on YouTube, but telling me that backstab fishing is cheap, it's easy, it's an exploit. Backstab fishing is inferior in every single way compared to rustic play. Rustic play at its base is just reaction. And if you can react to an animation, then it becomes trivial. Because it's an animation you're reacting to and not the player, it doesn't matter how good they are, because the animation doesn't increase in speed or decrease. So the mix-up game is mute. Now let's line up the core for backstabbing. So backstabbing, the core, it's aggression. You have to go towards your opponent. You're not going to get a backstab sitting on the border of your opponent. You have to go into their area, which means that's risky. So that's the cost. That's one cost to backstab fishing. So you have no safety net. The second cost is if you don't make the perfect read, you're going to lose half your health or die. So any smart player, anyone that does like reaction play, anyone that punishes whiffs, are going to say that's stupid. Why would you go in towards the opponent? It's because it's fun. And getting good at something that isn't the best way to play is rewarding. Gives you that little dopamine hit in your head. You're just like, ooh, backstab. Ooh, backstab. The backstab mechanic itself has 2-hit confirmation. So it's not like Dark Souls 1. So you initiate the animation, and then if they're still in range of said animation, they will get pulled into the backstab. This works for PvE too. This is just the game mechanic of backstabbing. Lag stabs. The more latency you and your opponent have, the less you can rely on what you see on screen. You need to predict your opponent's movements and their positioning and whereabouts they'll be at the end of your backstab prediction. And then also calculate phantom range, which is ping, which can range from say 10 to 350. So we get the backstab with this read, and then it's going to become a trade because of the latency. That's unfair on our end. That's punishing our aggression. And even if you do all this right, you're still not probably going to get that backstab. One tiny miscalculation can cost you the backstab and the fight. So it's definitely not cheap. And because of the 2-hit confirmation, it's going to look wonky. I'm going to show you a PvE front stab, lag stab, whatever you want to call it, to show you that it is not because of lag. This is a front stab on a NPC. Well, it's actually not a front stab. I initiated the animation on his bot, but he has wiggle room due to the 2-hit confirmation and is able to turn around. It's just a wonky looking backstabbing number 3. It's not a glitch, it's not an exploit, and X amount of time of latency will make it look even funnier. Here comes the Aussie Lag Lord. Please don't stab my booty. Alright, let's get into some invasions. So some more Lance play here on a level 90 66 strength build. This is a solo host. I know he likes to parry, but regardless, I'm still going to do those running attacks. I've got to show him that I'm not scared, and I've got to show him that I don't care about his parries. I'm a strong, independent Lance man that needs no riposts. As you can see, I am pretty damn aggressive with the Lance, and that's not what you want to do with it. You kind of want to sit on the borderlines poking people. But with my playstyle, which is primarily focused on experimental backstab play, I can do what I want and keep these guys on their toes. As you've seen, I've been throwing in jump attacks, trying to get some weird combos. This is what I like to do, experiment. And the shield's just not for show. I'm going to hit you with it, and I'm going to use it to block your attacks. When I make a build, I do it mostly around a theme. So this theme is Big Lance Dude with Moss Shield theme. So I've kind of tenderized this guy a bit. I've got him aggressive, I've been aggressive, it's a pretty high speed fight. So now I'm going to try and work in those cheeky backstabs that he's not going to expect. He's doing rolling attacks, he's safe, he knows I can't parry him. Our edgy katana man's getting in some hits, so he's probably getting a little bit cocky. He's like, this weapon's slow, I can react to every single attack. But he can't exactly react to the backstabs. and I don't think he's been dealing with them that often. So once we start to switch up the game, it's going to put him on his head. And here's where we start. So this is a momentum trade. I move myself slightly forward, predicting perfectly where he's going to land, which puts me right at his booty. I turn around and have already got the animation for the BS. So regardless of where he moves, unless he rolls away, I'm going to get that BS. This would put him on tilt. I doubt many people have backstabbed his running R1, and it's so satisfying to get. This backstab is a very similar setup, but he didn't do a running attack, he just did a roll. So I still followed him. This takes dedication and restraint, because he could have done a running attack and I could have turned around a lot sooner. So this was another prediction. And to finish it off, I punish his chug with a running R1. On to the next one. So this is BS Jesus with 2 people co-oping, I'm assuming. They are low latency, which I find out here because he roll catches me. So I get the roll and get the BS, which is super easy on low latency. I think the latency is really hard to me to go in for predict, so when I run into random low latency players, it throws me off at the start. But as long as you know that it's low latency, you can adapt. Here's where it gets tricky. These 2 boxes indicate the danger zone. If he rolled forward, he would have been safe, but he panicked and rolled to the right. So that still allows me to get the BS on his roll. Things like this is a massive prediction, and it isn't easy to pull off. If it was easy to pull off, we would have seen it a lot early in the game's life. And working out your own setups so that you can manipulate the situation to give you a higher chance of getting the backstab is really fucking rewarding. So for this one, I've already killed a blue. There's a phantom, a blue, and a host. So right now I'm trying to figure out what I can do because the casters are a pain in the butt. So I take this little stairway up here and try and get a cheeky plunge attack, but I'm off just ever so slightly. If I had an ultra there, I would have got that. Right now, the reason why the host wasn't around was because he was popping a seed. So I dip into this dark room here, seeing if they're going to follow me in. Seems like they're not, they're just going to deal with the PvE. So what I like to do in here is switch to the Untrue Dark Ring because it's a lot harder to see than a giant red glowing motherfucker. So this area is really good for verticality. And I jump over the steps here to try and get a cheeky backstab on a Jurassic Rob. The hosts, I think they're freaking out because they have no idea what's going on. So I'm just going to try and punish his heals here and get close to 400 damage on a running attack, which is sweet, if you can get the whole thing off. I notice the guy's got the scythe, so I'm pretty scared, so I go from the top rope and actually land the plunging attack. Now, with my playstyle, I try to focus on flow, so I try to have a reason for everything I do, and if I don't have a reason for it, I'm going to try and make it into a bait. So this guy wants to parry me. His herd lances are easy to parry, and of course the running attacks are. You can actually reaction parry a Lancer's R1 on low latency. So I'm just putting the damage in, punishing his parry attempts. He switches to 2-hand, so he's kind of given up on that at the moment. So I'm just going to try and I'm going to try and use the range of my lance to my advantage. He pulled it back out, so I go for a backstab. It's just give and take, He's literally a recorder at this point. So after this backstab, I make a massive whiff, but I'm able to turn it around into a positive by unlocking and controlling my Lance R1 to stop him from healing. I was really fucking impressed by that. After some R1 spam from both sides, the host decides to leg it and make a run for the boss door. Let's see what happens. He is clearly panicking. He goes for a heal instead of taking the iframes of the door. So I'm able to get that backstab because where else is he going to go? He can't go forward and he can't go back because that's where my lance is. And he's out of healies. And the blue's getting summoned in, so he gets some host lag and the Lothric Knight finishes him off. GG's. I'm going to finish up with a little tech here. So this tech is a lazy Oli, a lazy man's ravioli, where the first part of it doesn't necessarily have to have a animation to do the backstab. You just face your back towards them and get a really perfect read. I make it look easy, but this took me ages to figure out the right timing and the right feel to know that I'm going to get this consistently. You're also turning your back to the opponent, so they could just backstab you. It's a really risky tech, but it's so rewarding to land. This player here was probably learning how to turtle. They're not as confident as like really good turtles, and I don't expect anyone to be a tournament player turtle. But he was doing pretty good at keeping pressure to my lance. The lance has bad tracking, so all you have to do is strafe it and press R1. And if you strafe and press R1 at the right time, you're going to get a backstab. So, I knew he was going to come in on me. So I just positioned myself, got the read, and grabbed that booty. So this one here does have a setup. I end up chugging, which lures the opponent in to allow me to get the lazy ollie. And again, the lazy ollie is just so there is no buffer animation. It's just you turn your back to them and backstep, and if you positioned red and timed it right, you'll end up right at the back of them to grab that booty. Anyway guys, take it easy and have a wonderful weekend.